en anglais, donc désolé d'avance pour ceux qui ne parlent pas très bien anglais. Hello, my name is Victor. I'm principal engineer at Vestiaire Collective, and today we'll talk about deeplinks. So I know that that topic may sound very basic to you, but let me first talk about why it's so important and why you may need maybe to spend more time on thinking about it and how we secured it at Vestiaire Collective. So before we jump into it, let me quickly give you some context on Vestiaire Collective. So we are a marketplace for second-hand fashion created in 2009. We are a unicorn since March 2021, also B Corp the same year. We have 11 tech hubs, over 800 employees spread around the world, and we have a brand new blog, so feel free to check it out after this. Our iOS crew, we are 12 at Vestiaire Collective, spread around the world as well. We are from Paris, Berlin, London, Shanghai, and Ho Chi Minh. Okay, so let's jump into it. Why is deeplinking so critical? That's a good question first. So you know what a deep link is, right? It's basically a simple link that should redirect to some part of the app. So let's take an example here. That's a Vestiaire Collective deep link that should, as you can see, redirect the user to the favorite page. So in theory, if we execute it, we should see that page. Fine, we are happy, it works. But then why do we mind securing that? And that's the whole question we're going to ask ourselves. So to answer this, let's step back a little bit and think about all the ways that you could use to reach your app, basically. We want the user to reach the app, we want the user to engage with the app. So there are so many channels: push notifications, website banner, website links, mail campaigns, Google Shopping, social media campaigns, etc., etc. So I think that you start smelling it coming. Behind all of this, it's either deep links, universal links, or deferred deep link, which is a bit little specific deep link that will redirect the user to the page after an App Store install. So that's a bit more complicated, but let's say that it's deep linking. So if we map this to some graph, for the push, we have the deep link behind. For the website and mail campaigns, we have universal link. And for social media campaigns, we have universal link or deferred deep link. And then how does that translate to the app? So at Vestiaire Collective, we have some kind of universal link engine that will translate the universal link into a deep link. This allows us to have one single source of truth for the app to handle external navigation. So then at the end, the app just needs to handle that deep link. So at the end, basically everything is deep linking, right? Like it supports all your channels. Then you may wonder, okay, but technically it's deep linking. What's the actual impact of it? So it's very important for us because first of all, your entire marketing relies on it, your business relies on it, your CRM team relies on it. Deep links will allow you to make the user discover some page of the app, to reach some personalized page on the app, etc. So it's super important, and basically, if we break them, all those points are broken. So we lose money. Actually, we don't really lose money, but we lose potential money. We provide a poor user experience. We have, of course, a decreased user engagement and app reputation. If I open a mail that should redirect me to some page of a product, I click on that link, it opens the app. If I get redirected to the home page and I'm lost and I don't see the product, I'm a bit frustrated. So yeah. So now that we know deep links are critical, the question is there a way to efficiently and easily test them? And here, actually, there are many ways. But let's take the Vestiaire Collective approach. So first of all, we are going to define the need. What we would like to have. Easy, we just want to have an efficient and easy way to test all deep links. We don't want to spend an entire quarter or even half a year to secure that. So what we want basically is to have a generic and easy to use solution to cover all our deep links. So we want first to test our entire deep link test suite. At Vestiaire Collective, we have more than 50. And then new deep link tests can be added with no effort or knowledge. And we can also pass custom configuration to deep links, but we will see that point after. Okay, so we have our needs. You may think about unit testing, right? We talk about testing, so why not unit test? Fair point. It's completely different because, first of all, the philosophy is completely different. When you do unit tests, you will test in isolation. Each component will be tested in isolation from each other. And of course, not everything is testable. And last but not least, it highly depends on your architecture. So if you have a very basic app that has just one screen, it will look something like this. You have the app delegate and some router, coordinator on the screen. You can write tests for the router and the coordinator, and that's it. But at the end, the flow is still not tested. And that's for the easy case. Your app looks maybe like this, with tons of different things, deep link handler, app coordinator, router, factory, navigator, whatever you want to call it. Then the screen. Here, if you want to spend time to unit test all of this, if it's not already done, good luck. So, UI test to the rescue. And I think that you already have some judgment about this. So, your face should look like this in theory. If not, great. So you may have already a lot of thoughts about that big word UI test. You will think it's more difficult and more time consuming. That's true. You will think it's less reliable, it's flaky. That's also true. It's very slow. It's absolutely true. You have a big learning curve. Again, that's true. It requires a lot of maintenance and it's easy to break. All of those points are very true, actually. And last but not least, it's a standalone job. Basically, most of companies today prefer to delegate this kind of task to your QA engineer in your company because it's a complete different scope. And as iOS engineers, let's be honest, it's not super exciting to write this. So let me quickly prove this, maybe. Can you raise your hands if today in your app, you maintain UI tests as iOS engineers? Nobody. Okay, fair point. So at Vestiaire Collective, why did we do that? We had an idea, which is basically to build a UI test engine that will abstract all the details to iOS engineers. Something, an engine that can be fed with new deep link addition and that will only verify if a screen has been opened. Only that. So, just as you maybe not have any kind of experience in UI test, that's normal. Let's quickly sum what UI test is to be sure we are on the same page. It's basically some tests where the app is run as a black box, so you don't have access to the code, meaning that you cannot do object assertion. You will not check if some properties of some class are true or false, etc., etc. No. What you will do is basically act on what's visible in your screen by providing input and assert on what's on the screen. If I tap on the tab bar, scroll a bit, etc., I should see that. That's basically the whole test. So you write the test as if you were the user. Okay, so last but not least, all your testing code is run in a separate runner process, which is basically the one above. This runner will basically run any app that is available on the simulator, your app, but not only. It can run the settings app, Safari, etc. And this runner will simply simulate user interaction on the app that is basically on the screen. Okay, super quick. Let's say that we want to write a UI test of our Vestiaire Collective app. Like we want to make sure that when you like on the product is like. So let's say that the user scenario is we scroll a bit, we click on a product, then we tap on the like. So we launch the app, okay? Then we scroll, we first identify the collection view to identify the view basically, and then we swipe up. Then we tap on the product. Of course, it's very simplified. Then we identify the like button, we tap on it, and we check if the image has been changed to the full Hertz icon. Okay, so that's UI test. Now, back to our main idea. What we want is to build some kind of engine that any iOS developer can feed with any deep link and say, hey, I have this new deep link, it should always open that screen. Then the engine does the work and basically check it. Okay, so with that approach, what does it mean? As the engine behind the hood, it's powered by UI test, but the iOS developer does not really do UI test by itself. we have a lot of pain points that has been removed. The big learning curve, no, because iOS engineers do not have to learn UI test. It does not require a lot of maintenance because the engine itself will only assert the view, not the buttons, the labels, etc. So those buttons, labels are very subject to change, which will require maintenance. Here we are only going to assert the view displayed, so it's not easy to break and not difficult and not more time consuming because, as you have seen, it's pretty straightforward to add the new tests. Okay, so now that we understand all the theory part, let's start building this. So we want to have a generic and easy to use solution, of course. So your first idea would be to have some kind of dictionary that will take a deep link as a key and the expected screen as a value. Makes sense so far. So let's start building it. We have some kind of enum that will enumerate each deep link we support in the app, the homepage, the catalog. And we have this dictionary that will have as key the deep link and then as value the screen. But then here we can start asking ourselves, how do we identify a screen? Ideally, we could basically just match a deep link with a class like the homepage, the control, etc. But as I mentioned, we don't have any knowledge of what classes, objects are in the app. So how do we do that? Then we need to think a bit. How do we identify a screen? We are going to create some kind of evaluation enum. So this evaluation enum will simply enumerate all the possible evaluation we can make in the app. We can identify a view, a table view, or a collection view. And the associated value is basically the identifier of the view. So if we have this, we basically can say, okay, basically my home page is a view that will have the home identifier. This is my home page. Same for the favorites, it's a view that will have the favorite identifier, and same for the card, for example, which will be a table view. And then we can put this into some kind of constants to have some cool namespace. And then we have our screen enum, which is basically representing a feature by an evaluation. Now that we have this, we can complete our first idea, which is that dictionary. We can now say that my home deep link is associated to the home screen, which under the hood is basically a view that has the home ID. So that's the first step. But then you will face some issues. Let's say that here we added a new deep link, which is the favorites one. And we basically said, my favorite deep link should open the favorite screen. Here, something will be a bit fishy functionally. If you can guess it, you are super good. Basically, here, the issue is that we have some deep links that will require to be logged in. For example, if you open the favorite deep link, of course, the user needs to be logged in. You cannot open the user's favorite if it's logged out. So if the user is not logged in, sorry, we will see the login screen instead of the expected screen. So here we can start seeing the limits of what we have built at the beginning, which is we need more flexibility, more granularity. Then the question is, how do we evolve this evaluation into something that will offer us more flexibility? And the answer we did at Vestiaire Collective is to introduce some kind of evaluation mode. So the evaluation mode is, again, an enum that will have two cases, always apply the same evaluation, or custom, that will apply different evaluation based on the user status, if it's logged in or logged out. If it's logged out, we're going to apply the evaluation, but if it's logged in, we're going to apply the account evaluation, which is basically simply associating an evaluation with credentials, credential being mail, password, nothing new here. So with this evaluation mode, we can basically now specify different evaluation based on the account state. Then we can create some kind of helpers. For example, for the credentials, we can have some generic test accounts. Of course, those credentials do not work, do not test them. And then we can extend account evaluation to use these generic accounts. So if we sum this up, we move from this, which is basically a fair first try, to this, which is basically saying that the home page should always display the home page. The catalog should always display the catalog. The favorite page should display the favorite page if we are logged in with the generic account, or if we are logged out, it should display the login screen. So here, I think that we have a fairly robust approach to basically identify a screen. And then, as we have created some kind of evaluation mode, etc., of course, we still, at the end, need to deal with UI tests. So we are going to bridge it. So here, if you are not familiar with UI tests, don't try to understand it. But basically, at the end, our engine will need to bridge it to be able to assert XAUI elements with our evaluation. So we're going to have some kind of bridging. But the main goal of evaluation and evaluation mode is to provide friendly types to developers so that developers do not have to learn what UI test is. Because basically, if you ask anyone what other elements is, you don't know that it just means it's a view. The same for the query provider, etc. So now that we know the foundation of our engine, let's see a bit the flow. Pretty simple. The main test structure is the following. We start the app, we check if the app is open. If not, then we cannot proceed. Then we basically have a for loop in our dictionary. So we first test each deep link in logged in mode until we test all of them. If we test all of them, then it's a good. Then we do the same, but in non-logged mode. If they all pass, then it's a success. Pretty simple. And then if we zoom a bit, for example, in that logged in mode test, what does it do exactly? It checks first if the user is logged in. If not, we're going to log in. And then it will trigger the deep link. We check what is the screen shown. We have some kind of 10 seconds timeout. So the app will have 10 seconds to show the screen. If the screen is shown, the test itself is successful. So this is just to quickly show you. Then, as you can see here, in terms of action, we have login, trigger, deep link. So for that, you will need to create some kind of handlers that will have full knowledge on how to execute a certain task within the scope. For example, we have the login handler that will know how to log in at Vestiaire Collective, know how to log out at Vestiaire Collective, and know how to know the login status at Vestiaire Collective. So those handlers will also provide the state of the scope in charge. We also have the deep link handler. So let's take an example of our logging handler to see how it looks like. This is our logging screen at Vestiaire Collective. So we have some login function that will take credentials as input. We have a text field. So we basically search for that text field, we tap on it, we type some text. Same for the password. Then we tap on the login button, and we just wait until the home page is displayed. If we see the home page, then we are logged in. Voila, that's not magic. Okay, so now that we have all of this in mind, let's go back to our initial need and let's see it in action. So basically, any iOS engineer can feed our robots with deep links, so how it looks like. So sorry, the video itself is not nice looking, but it's basically an engine that will loop in our deep link dictionary and type the deep link, run it, check the screen, type the deep link, run it, check the thing, etc., etc. Okay, so now with this, I have good news. We have secured all our deep links. So let's wrap this up a bit. What did we do? Deep links are critical for your apps. Take care of them. At Vestiaire, we have built an engine for this. UI tests is now abstracted from engineers, so we don't have all the downside of UI tests. We have some kind of evaluation mode that will bridge with XA tests. So basically, engineers will deal with evaluation mode instead of XA tests. Any engineer can feed it with their own deep link. No work required. Deep links are safe. Last but not least, it works with any architecture, no matter if your app is in MVVM, etc., etc. As it's UI test, we just manipulate the app as it is. And that's it. If you have any question, feel free to shoot.